Hey everybody, it's me, Zach. This is Judy, and welcome back to our channel. Okay everybody, so today Judy, she doesn't look alert right now, and it's because she's upset with me, because she said, Zach, can you please talk about, just do a video dedicated to beans? And I said, Judy, a video nobody wants to see a video dedicated to beans. Let's be honest. I said, where did you get that idea, sis? I don't get it. And so she's just like, all right, Dad, well, I'm just gonna be quiet. I'm just gonna be quiet then. And I don't like to silence her, but I was just like, we gotta talk about something a little bit more relevant, okay? And one of the things that feels most relevant in the world of YouTube right now is that Morgan Adams, the sister of Ryland Adams, who is the fiance of Shane Dawson, finally broke her silence about all of the stuff that happened with Shane Dawson. And by all of the stuff, I mean, she didn't really go into specifics about it, but she finally said, okay, I'm gonna come back with a new video, and when I do, I'm also gonna talk about Shane Dawson. So I just wanted to take some time to talk about that, talk about what my thoughts were on what she said specifically, and kind of talk about where do we go from here? Where does she go? Where does Shane go? Where does whoever, whatever, whenever go? Okay? So I do realize some people might think it's odd that I'm making a video about this, because I haven't really, I've only ever posted one video about Shane Dawson on my channel, and it was in regards to his, I don't know, his makeup advertisement series, his cash grab series. It was a while ago. I think I made that video back in December, and basically the gist of that was hey Shane Dawson, my dude, why did you include these blatantly homophobic bigots in your video, right? So that was the gist of that video. I'll link it down below and up in the iCards if you want to go check it out, see what the tea was about all of that. But I haven't made videos about all the recent current events that are happening in Shane Dawson's life here on YouTube, any of that. Part of that's because a lot of that was happening while I was on a little bit of a social media hiatus. It also was happening when I was coming back from the social media hiatus, but at the time I was like, I don't know what kind of content I want to make, and spoiler alert, still don't. Still don't. I surely don't. But I am here to just talk about what I want to talk about, what I feel like I have something valuable to speak on. And so here we are. I do think that it's interesting to talk about how do we hold the people accountable that are friends with the person that did all of the terrible things or made all the mistakes, and is that something we should even be doing? Is it our responsibility to hold people accountable, to hold other people accountable? Probably to some extent. Also, I think in some ways we're limited on what we can control, and ultimately, in my opinion, and we'll get more into this, but in my opinion, Shane Dawson is responsible for Shane Dawson. And yes, I would hold friends accountable in real life. I would hold my friends accountable as best as I can, but ultimately the person responsible for their actions is the person, right? Is Shane Dawson. All that being said, I think there's room for an interesting conversation here. I do want to say that before I get into the details of the video and my thoughts on what Morgan had to say, is that I think that she did the best that she could do, all things considered, right? Keep in mind that this is her future brother-in-law. So she has to maintain some kind of relationship moving forward with this guy regardless. And I think that is an important part here, because, she doesn't have a choice in who her brother chooses to marry. And most people want to have good relationships with both their blood family and the people who marry into their family. And so, I was never expecting Morgan to come on camera and trash Shane by any means. I don't think that that's something that she would have done, nor would I have expected that out of her or wanted that out of her necessarily. I mean, honestly, I think as his future sister-in-law. Like, if she can maintain some kind of relationship with him where she can hold him accountable in the future, then I think that's great. You know, I think that that's really important to this conversation. So before I get too much more into it, I do just want to give you a quick overview in case you didn't see the video so you know what I'm talking about. Specifically, I do want to say that this piece about Shane Dawson was a much smaller piece of a larger vlog that she put on her channel. I think the vlog was called Let's Chat About Life or something like that. It included her going camping with her family in Colorado. It included her giving some updates on her cat, updates on if she was gonna move back to Colorado, all of these things. And then at the very end, she put in the little piece about her thoughts about Shane and everything that's happened. One thing that I forgot to include in this is that she also used this video as an opportunity to do a paid sponsorship for a website. I don't know, it probably doesn't matter, but I certainly thought it was like a little weird. So in the video right before she talks about Shane and what he was going through and her thoughts on what he has done in the past, she gives this like kind of weird story. In my opinion, it was weird, about a time when she was drunk and thinking about how context matters to two sentences. Specifically, she talked about a friend who told her that he had problems with moles and her brother who told her that he had problems with moles.
I was a little tipsy the other night and I was thinking about how, one, context is everything, and two, perspective is everything. I was talking to one of my friends the other day and he was like, oh, my moles are really bad. And then a couple days later I was talking to my brother and he was like, oh, my moles are really bad. Same sentence, right? But the difference is, this is so stupid. This is like my drunk thoughts. So my friend was talking about, you know, the little critters in your sprinkler systems that eat them and your dad's screaming about them in the backyard. And my brother was talking about like our moles because we have skin cancer in our family and he gets moles chopped out all the time to get tested. And I was like, whoa, same exact sentence can mean two completely different things based on, you know, your kind of own perception of things and what you've been through in life. You would interpret that sentence however you will. But if you have context, then you have a whole vast array of stories and you're like, oh, now I completely understand why his moles are bad. So one, context is everything. Two, perspective is also the other thing that's everything. Does that make sense?
And I'm gonna circle back to the concept of context, right? We're gonna talk more about that because that's really what led me to saying we should talk about this. But she uses that perspective, the context, the moles, the everything. She uses all of that to then go in and talk about her relationship with Shane. She does mention that she doesn't approve of the videos and all of the things that came out about Shane. She, you know, acknowledges that she's only known Shane for the past 3 to 4 years.
People have kind of been asking me about the videos that have been resurfacing about Shane and the whole beauty world drama, about the old videos of Shane and the whole drama thing. I don't really have much to say. I just wanted to say, obviously, that I don't like them. I don't agree with them. It makes me uncomfortable to watch them because when I watch them, I'm like, who is that? I don't feel like that's a person that I know. It's a difficult situation because I'm not coming at this from, you know, the viewpoint and the perspective of somebody who has watched Shane on the internet for years. This is somebody that I hang out with in my real life. This is somebody that I consider to be a friend, a mentor, a family member. And I just wanted to say that I'm not defending anything that has been said in the past, anything that has been done in the past, but I've known Shane for 3, maybe 4 years now. The Shane that I hang out with and that I have lived with has always just been gracious and kind and understanding. He's always been willing to help everyone. The person that I see from day to day in a non-YouTube, non-filming, not trying to be entertaining, that Shane isn't even in the same stratosphere as the Shane that, you know, you get to see in these older clips. So that's all I have to say. I don't know.
That makes sense. Like, I am on the same page as somebody who's not going to be a part of his family, that, you know, I've only really watched Shane for the past 3 or 4 years. I have not watched every single video that is in his catalog of videos. And while I had heard, around the time that I posted my last video, I had heard that a lot of people were commenting on my video like, oh, he has like such a racist past. He's done a lot of like inappropriate videos on YouTube. And that's when I started being like, questionable, right? But prior to that, I was not aware, just because like, who has time? This is the thing about YouTube. Like, you might find a YouTuber and like the content that they're posting right now, but that doesn't mean you're gonna go back and watch all 300, 400, whatever number of videos that are in their YouTube catalog. She also explains that the Shane that she knows now, the Shane that she used to live with, the Shane that she considers a mentor to her, the Shane that is a part of her family. She mentions that Shane is very different than the Shane that was in all of the videos that he had posted in the past and things like that. She also tries to emphasize that she thinks that apologies are shown to be genuine and real when they are reflected in a person's like ongoing continued actions.
There's a difference between saying you've changed and actually changing. You know, there's a difference between saying you're nice and actually being nice. People can say and say and say, you know, they've changed, they're this, they're that. It's 2020. You can change your entire face. You can change your entire brand. You could walk out of the plastic surgeon and be a completely different person. But if you want to change, you have to actually change. And if you want to be a nice person, you have to actually be a nice person. I see these old videos of Shane and I'm like, wow, I don't even recognize that person. That is what makes me believe, based on actions, right, that somebody is actually nice or somebody has actually changed. Because people can tell you things all day long, but it's their actions that mean the world. Wow, I should go to Bible camp.
And at the end of it all, she kind of like comes back to this concept about context and having different perspectives, and how her perspective as somebody who spends a lot of time with Shane in real life is much different than the perspective that we get just from social media and just from YouTube. So let's talk about context, right? Let's talk about having different perspectives, holding different perspectives, because you know, part of what Morgan says in her video is that she wants folks to, you know, even if they have different opinions on something, to try to see each other's perspectives, and if you still disagree, then just like move on with your lives. I just want to acknowledge that I understand that her overall point and concept of saying, hey, I have this different perspective, I have this different context about Shane, is to say specifically the point that she knows him outside of YouTube. But the problem with that for me specifically is that asks us to place a lot of trust in her to be honest about what's going on. And I think like everybody who's been following all of this stuff with Shane can say pretty easily, like if they were fans, like if they didn't know about all of this stuff that already existed, that they were kind of like bamboozled, that these folks had the wool pulled over their eyes and that they wouldn't have expected that previously out of him. Now, obviously there are some of y'all that have known, were aware, have been holding on to the receipts. So, you know, that doesn't apply to you. But a lot of people put a lot of trust into Shane Dawson as a creator, as somebody they enjoyed on YouTube, and lost that trust. So now you're asking us to trust your perspective, you, a social media like influencer, celebrity, etc., and you're asking us to wholeheartedly believe in you. And I'm not saying that people shouldn't, but for me, it's not enough just for you to come out and say that, because obviously, yes, that is your perspective, that is your view on how things are, and I would expect your lived experience to be different than the viewer's lived experience, right? And I don't want to discredit that, but I guess what I'm saying is I think that Shane is going to have to provide this evidence himself, right? We're going to have to somehow see this from himself, if we really want to know that real change has occurred. I think the other issue with context, quite honestly, is that it is used frequently to like downplay people who get offended by different things, right? You know, I can think of a time where there was a person in my life that I knew of that posted the N-word on social media, okay, and people were rightfully upset with said person about this. But then the people who were defending this person were like, well, what was the context of why they posted that? Like, what was the maybe they had a good reason. And for me, I'm just like trying to do the calculus math around me, because what context is that okay? Like, what context do you have that is gonna make you doing that thing okay, right? And I think that is also the problem here with a lot of the stuff with Shane, is like, what context is a lot of the stuff that has come out about Shane Dawson okay? What context is this something that people who are reflected in those identities, or people who are offended by those things, should be okay with that? And I'm not saying that that's what Morgan's asking us to believe here, or asking us to accept, but I am saying that the idea that there's more context that we could have that would make things acceptable is flawed, right? Because at the end of the day, regardless of what Morgan's context on the situation is, there were a lot of people who didn't have that context when it happened. A lot of people who only have the context of the videos, and that's all that matters, right? The way that they felt when they saw that is valid. That's kind of like why I'm a little wary of this idea that we need to lean into these different perspectives that folks have, and why should we all of a sudden say, okay, Morgan's perspective is enough? And I again don't think that that's what Morgan's asking us to do. I think the big picture is she's just trying to say, like, I know that you all are gonna have questions about this from me, and this is just what my thoughts are about it. I don't think she's trying to like sway an audience's opinion about Shane at all. But I do think that that's like a little bit of a slippery slope that we have to keep in mind when we're talking about context. The other thing that I do want to push back a little bit on Morgan is this concept that that she has seen change, right? Because, girl, that live stream after Tati posted her video about Shane and Jeffrey.
This woman is a fucking... I'm gonna wait till as many people get in here as... Keep playing it. Keep playing it.
I didn't know I was making a video. So how is it that so many editorial outlets knew that something was coming before I had...
Because you messaged drama channels! Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god.
And then before I did film, Jeffrey sent me what he claimed was an audio file from an alleged victim and told me to listen to the pain in their voice. The audio was clearly a small portion of the conversation. It wasn't enough for me to contact the authorities. It was enough to scare me.
Well, then why would you make a video on the matter claiming these allegations?
Because she is a fucking... I can't. I don't want to say mean things about people. This is insane. This person literally... Oh my god. Okay, sorry. Keep pressing play. I need to get through this video so I can fucking... Oh my god.
As a victim of abuse myself...
Oh my god. You are so manipulative.
To think of facing public...
You're fake crying. You are fake crying. That is not real. Oh my god.
Ma'am, father, brother, sister, child, auntie, cousin, ma'am. That didn't look like a changed man. That didn't. And honestly, you want to talk about change. I mean, that whole situation, Ryland's tweets about all of that also wasn't a good look, right? And that is stuff that happened after Shane posted his apology video. I have a lot of questions about what change has happened and what Morgan considers change, because Morgan didn't really go into any kind of depth or detail about what specific kind of behaviors of Shane's that she was upset by. And she also didn't go into any detail about, like, if she felt any type of way about his behavior and all the beauty drama, right? She kind of alluded to old videos and things like that. But, we don't really know what she means by change. And she certainly didn't say, like, these are the specific behaviors that Shane is engaging in that signal to me that there's change that's happened. So, again, there's not really evidence here, and I think that ultimately Shane Dawson's gonna have to be the one that says, here's the evidence, here's the proof that I've changed. And I have to be hopeful to some extent that he can, because honestly, for the one public Shane Dawson exists, there's like thousands of people out there in the world that think that those things are okay in real life and aren't even like him and apologizing. So, you know, my hope is that I am hopeful. I'm hopeful that everybody can do better. And I think, you know, people definitely deserve the right to be upset with him. But he's really going to have to demonstrate the change. Like, we need more than just, you know, Morgan coming on camera and saying, I've seen it, I've seen the change, for us to really be able to move forward and seeing that his apologies are sincere and that his motives are sincere. I'll just wrap this video up by saying I 100% respect Morgan for even like talking about the situation, for even addressing it. I mean, I guess part of me was like, she could just keep ignoring it, but I think that if she had ignored it, she probably, you know, would have gotten some flack for that. So I think she handled it the best that she could, considering that she, you know, does have to continue having a relationship with this person and should have hope for like her brother and her family and continuing to interact with him. So I appreciate that. I think though that, you know, we're gonna need more context. We're gonna need more proof that change has happened, you know? You feel me? So anyways, I hope you all enjoyed this video. If you did, and it's your first time on my channel, please make sure to subscribe down below and hit the bell button so you get a notification every single time I post a new video. Also, leave some comments, hit like, it helps with the infamous YouTube algorithm. Follow me on all of my social media, including my Twitch channel where I play and stream video games, and my second channel where I upload me playing video games. And have a great day. I'll see you all next time. Bye!